Hi everyone, welcome to another productivity talk from the Asian Productivity Organization APO Secretariat, Tokyo, Japan. I am Tanvir of APO Agriculture Unit. Today we will discuss on an important and emerging issue, building community-based social resilience in connection with developing productive, sustainable societies for coping with and protecting against environmental and resource crises through community engagement and participation. The world currently has facing different environmental, resource, and other challenges such as land degradation, global warming, drought, COVID-19, etc. Inclusive social resilience is not only about adapting to adverse situations, but also about contributing individual skills to make societies and communities harmonious, inclusive, and protective. Today, we will discuss concept of critical natural capital, CNC, and the grassroots of primary CNC that are essential to maintaining the livelihoods of local communities, connecting people and nature. In this talk, we will hear successful community-based social resilience practice from Japan and case of Landcare, Australia. Today, our guest speaker is Dr. Kazuki Kaguhashi, Associate Professor, Faculty of Global Liberal Studies, Nanjing University, Japan. Hello, Dr. Kazuki. Thank you for joining with us today. How are you?
Fine, thanks. It's my pleasure to participate in this P-Talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Kazuki. Let me introduce Kazuki a little bit more. In addition of his attachment in Nanjing University Institute for Social Ethics, Kazuki is also serving as global board member of Global Landcare. Kazuki is an expert on environmental economics and environmental studies with focus on sustainable development, water management, and land care. Before move to the discussion, I like to request audience to leave your questions in the chat box, and we will try to answer them during the question and answer session. Please do not forget to add your name and country. Now I like to request Dr. Kazuki to share your insights on social resilience concept and how it contributes to community engagement and productivity. Kazuki, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me for this session. It is my very honorable to talk on building community-based social resilience at this P-Talk. And hello, everyone. I am Kazuki Kaguhashi from Japan. And I will talk about how can we augment the community-based social resilience. And I will explain some cases, successful cases of it. As Tanvir introduced, I am working as a faculty staff at Nanjing University and also a board member of Global Landcare. And my background and expertise is environmental economics and environmental studies as well. And I have conducted researches on sustainable development and water management, including drought adaptation and land care, which I will mention all of these later. Okay, this is the contents of today's presentation. First part, I will explain what is social resilience. And I will explain the three capacities of social resilience. And next part, I will explain the how we can evaluate the social resilience. And especially, I will focus on I will utilize the theory of sustainable development and relate it with the social resilience framework. And I will introduce the concept of critical natural capital, and I will show you the analytical framework of today's presentation. And third, I will talk about some successful cases in Japan and Australia, 2 cases of Japan and 1 case in Australia. And I will conclude in the last section. All right, this is the contents of the today's presentation. And let me start with the question, what is social resilience? Some of you might have heard of the concept and some have not. But social resilience is discussed in the context of disaster management. And for example, to adapt to flood and adapt to the earthquakes or typhoon or drought, whatever. That's the disasters. But it is defined as simply as the ability of groups or communities to cope with external stresses and disturbances. And 3 different types of capacities are identified as the determinants of the social resilience, which are coping capacities and adaptive capacities and transformative capacities. And this table shows the 3 capacities of social resilience. First, coping capacities focus on the ex post response to risk. And it is totally short-term adaptation, short-term coping. And it focuses on the restoration of present level of well-being. So it is very short-term capacity. On the other hand, adaptive capacities and transformative capacities are temporarily long-term and ex-ante response to risk. And it includes the future well-being. So these coping capacities, adaptive capacities, transformative capacities, and the interesting part is that transformative capacities is kind of including the innovation in the local context. Okay, I will follow these capacities, and I will try to combine with the theory of civil development. So next, how can we evaluate this social resilience? So here is the framework of the sustainable development theory in the literature of environmental economics. And there is a productive base, and it is composed of capital assets, which are including the manufactured capital and natural capital and human capital. Natural capital is like water, forest, soil, whatever that is existing in the ecosystem and related to human well-being. These 3 capital assets are the capital part of the productive base, and there is also institutions, including market, social relations, or network. These institutions are playing a role of combining these capital assets and creating in total as a productive base well-being. So this is the framework of the sustainable development theory, and I would say that the 3 capacities which I explained in the earlier slide, coping capacities and adaptive capacities or transformative capacities are related to this productive base. And let me introduce one more concept of critical natural capital. Critical natural capital is a natural capital that is not substitutable by other capital assets like manufactured, natural, or human capital, whatever. It is a non-substitutable natural capital. And it is like a glue of a society, which when we lose the critical natural capital, the society or ecosystem will collapse. This is the critical natural capital concept. And we will focus on the three types of critical natural capital, which I will explain in the next slide. Okay, the first type of the critical natural capital is functional uniqueness. It contains non-substitutability of the functions or services like water. Imagine water. We don't have any alternative of water. It can be identified as a critical natural capital from the perspective of functional uniqueness, or we can include the historical landscape as critical natural capital because it serves unique functions. Okay, and second category is keystone elements. This is required for the reproduction of the society or ecosystems, like food or nutrition for humans, or keystone species like sea otter in the ecosystem. Like these kind of elements can be a keystone of the elements. So this is the other example of the critical natural capital. And of course, intrinsic value. You can see the photo of koala. It is very cute. Of course, it is not purely instrumental to human perspective or human purposes. It should include intrinsic value as itself. Okay, these are the three types of critical natural capital, and we will see the successful cases based on this analytical framework. I will analyze the cases by focusing on the processes of the first identification of critical natural capital, and second, investment in capital assets, including manufactured capital or natural capital and human capital, and institutional change at the last part. Institutional change is most related to the transformative capacity. So it is very important to look at institutional aspect in this framework. Okay, let's see the cases that are very effective in augmenting social resilience. This is the case one, drought adaptation in the Sonic Plain in Japan. And the Sonic Plain is one of the most serious drought-prone areas in Japan. And in 1994, there occurred a serious drought. And you can see the difference between the pictures. The right-hand side picture is the normal landscape. And in 1994, the landscape changed dramatically, like the left-hand side photo. You can see no water in the reservoir. And this is the basic information of the Sonic Plain. I am living in Nagoya City, which is the middle part of Japan. The red dot in the middle of the Japan map. And The Sonic Plain is located in Shikoku Island, which is colored by green. And you can see the Sonic Plain here. And the Sonic Plain, there are many ponds, over 10,000 ponds for irrigation, because the water resources are so restricted. And also, the Kagawa Canal was constructed to deliver water from Yoshino River to the Kagawa Canal. To the Sonic Plain. I'm sorry. And this is the water management and how the water is managed in the Sonic Plain. And there are 3 types of agricultural water management. The first part is the left-hand side, in which the parent pond is connected to Kagawa Canal, and it delivers water from Kagawa Canal to child ponds. Okay, so the local farmers utilize water by using their own pond, child pond, and parent pond, and Kagawa Canal. This is the first type of the water management. And the second one is that parent pond is not connected to Kagawa Canal. So the parent pond is supplemented by the river water, and it delivers water to child pond. Okay, this is the second type. And third type is that the child pond is isolated. It is not connected to any irrigation network. It doesn't have any parent ponds. And of course, it is not connected to, connected to Kagawa Canal. This is the third type of the water management. And in 1994, a big drought hit the Sonic Plain. And you can see how hard it was. The stock of water resources in local ponds decreased so severely. And you can see the right-hand side picture photo. There is no water. It seems like a playground, but it is not. It is originally a pond, but the water dried up, and local farmers were very serious about the water. And drought adaptation. In 1994, several drought adaptation measures were implemented. The first one is the improvement of the efficiency of the water facilities by installing water pumps, pipes, or wells, and so on. And the second measure was to retrieve traditional practices of agricultural irrigation. I said retrieved. This is very interesting part. In the case of Sonic Plain, the local farmers abandoned their traditional practices because after the construction of Kagawa Canal, the water resources were increased, so that they decided to now it is time to abandon the traditional practices. But in 1994, a serious drought occurred, and the local farmers remembered how to do the traditional practices, and they retrieved the practices and adapt to the drought. And third, intrabasin water sharing. This is conducted within the watershed in each pond irrigation system. And fourthly, interbasin water sharing was also implemented. This was the first time to implement such kind of water sharing. This is very interesting because the Kagawa Canal is constructed to penetrate the sonic plane horizontally. So the Kagawa Canal could be an adjustment tool of the delivering water. So the water adjustment was implemented beyond the watersheds. So this was the first experience, and it was the innovative part and the drought adaptation in 1994. And the outcome of the adaptation was the increased output of the rice crop. Surprisingly, actually, for the rice crop, the output was increased by 4%. And reduced crop damages. Of course, the adaptation enabled farmers to reduce crop damages. So the drought adaptation was innovative and very effective in reducing the damages of the crops. Okay, this is the summary of the sonic plan. The water resources, pond water, were identified as critical natural capital. And then investment in manufactured capital was occurred. For example, installing water pipes or investment in natural capital, for example, groundwater development by installing wells. So this kind of investment occurred in 1994, and the institutional change also occurred. The water sharing and traditional practices on water management was introduced. So we can say the productive base was expanded. So the social resilience is also augmented. All right, let me move to the second part, micro hydropower development in Gokase, Japan. This is based on joint research conducted with Dr. Tokihiko Fujimoto at Meiji University. And the Gokase town, this is the basic information of the Gokase town. It is located in mountainous area of Kyushu Island, and as same as in other mountainous areas in Japan, they have confronted the issues of depopulation, aging, or decline of production in primary industries, and so on. And the population is 3,537, and aging rate was 37.6% in 2015. So in Gokase town, the local cooperative authority, not authority, sorry, association, local corporate association stimulated the project of the installation of micro hydropower. And they first hear the voices of local people and what were the problems and issues confronted by the local residents. And then they moved to the installation of the micro hydropower development project. And they aimed at producing local renewable energy. And it was very interesting to see that they not only they developed the local renewable energy, but also they utilized the money from selling the renewable energy for the investment in other capital assets like development of the biomass energy, or electric bus, or public bath, or something like that. So the local corporate association was the critical in the case of Gokase. And this photo is the general annual meeting in the Gokase town. The local cooperative association, and the local residents gathered up and discussed what is going on and what should be done in Gokase town. And this was a very, very interesting point and important thing in the Gokase case, that they decided to import or transfer the traditional knowledge of what is called kinchil, that is traditional handmade wooden micro hydroelectric generator in Indonesia. And they decided to learn from the case of Indonesia, and they deliver the knowledge and to install kinchil in Gokase town, and by holding several workshops. And this photo is the workshop of the installation of the kinchil in the Gokase town. The local handcraft man did the made the kinchil in Gokase town, and they installed the kinchil in the context of Gokase town. And this was very, very interesting part, impressive story of the Gokase town. It was very, very successful. And the local local community developed their project, not just installing the kinchil or local renewable energy, but they expand their activities like composting system, installation of a composting system by learning other cities' experiences. And also this kind of activities stimulated and promoted the social tie within the Gokase town and communities. Okay, this is the summary of the Gokase town. First, local agricultural water has been identified as critical natural capital, and then investment in small hydro plant called kinchil was implemented, and human capital through social learning and other renewable energies investment occurred, like biomass energy or combustion system like that. And for the institutional aspect, a new network within or beyond Gokase town was created, and social relations in Gokase town have been improved. So we can say that the Gokase town could expand their productive base and augment their social resilience. All right, we saw two cases of the successful cases of social resilience. Next, we will see the Landcare in Australia. There are diverse activities of Landcare in Australia, but originally the activities started to combat to the salination problem or soil degradation or invasive species management. So at first, the local farmers planted trees to lower the level of groundwater to mitigate the soil salinity problem. And gradually they develop their activities to recover the original vegetation after bushfire, or to conserve the local native species by creating corridor by planting trees. So this is utilized as ecosystem management as well. And other examples include weed control. This is done by local students as a educational program, and they're experiencing weed control and conservation of remnant vegetation. The remnant vegetation area is very, very restricted, and the Landcare groups and people are doing the conservation activities of the remnant vegetation. And this is the diagram of the history of the development of Landcare in Australia. As you can see, the Landcare groups, the number of Landcare groups developed tremendously from 10 groups to 5,000 groups in 2006. And it is very important to say that the local and regional networks also played an important role in developing the Landcare activities, and not just the local activities, but there have been a international network to spread the Landcare approaches or methods, not just in Australia, but the foreign countries like Landcare, Australian Landcare International. It is now developed to be a global Landcare. They're doing many projects to install or start up the Landcare activities around the world. Okay, this is the investment in capital assets, and first of all, natural capital by planting trees was tremendously expanded, and human capital. Human capital was also expanded through mutual learning, and manufactured capital also expanded. But we should say that the manufactured capital is not large scale, but small scale technologies. So we can see there occurred investment in capital assets in Landcare activities. So the summary of the Landcare activities in Australia: surface soil, agricultural crops, and indigenous species have been identified as critical natural capital at first, and investment occurred in capital assets. This is very important, but capital assets, which are manufactured, natural capital, and human capital, they are all occurred at local level, and it is across Australia. So this kind of investment occurred not the broad national level, but local level. Okay, and third, institutional reform was also implemented through the introduction of Landcare coordinators or facilitators. This is the innovative part of Landcare in Australia in its institutional sense. So the productive base was expanded by the activities of Landcare in Australia, and social resilience was also augmented. Okay, we saw 3 cases, and we will discuss and take a look at what we can learn about from these cases. First, social resilience can be evaluated by the size of productive base. So productive base can capture the three capacities of social resilience, and we can see by focusing the size of the productive base, we can see how social resilience was augmented or not. Okay, and the second point is that the case study shows that all cases develop their social resilience through the enhancement of productive base. The investment of capital assets occurred, identification of critical natural capital occurred, and institutional innovation occurred. And so we can say that identification of the what is grassrooted critical natural capital, local level critical natural capital stimulates the investment in capital assets. So it is a kind of a driver of the investment and the occurrence of institutional innovation. All right, this is the last slide, and networking is the key to augment community-based social resilience. All cases exemplify the importance of networking and, of course, leadership or partnership between various actors. This is important. And lastly, capacity building was also important. And we should say that capacity building occurred, but without compromising the local residents' autonomy and decision-making. So thank you very much for your attention, and I will welcome your comments and questions and suggestions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kazuki, for your excellent and insightful presentation. I'd like to request audience to post your questions in the chat box. And I have a few questions while taking questions from the audience. Kazuki, is social capital, trust, or networks included in capital assets?
This is a very important question. Thank you very much. Social capital is, as you mentioned, trust and networks. This is very important aspect. But in environmental economics, it is not included in capital assets, but it is included in the institutions, because social capital can change the way of the creation of capital assets. So the social capital is very, very important, but I should say that it is not included in capital assets, but it is included in institutions.
Thank you. I have one question regarding the Landcare. Why has Landcare been so successful in Australia? What your, yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much for your question. This is also very important to ask. Landcare is so successful in Australia, and from my observation, it was very, very successful because there are so many coordinators and facilitators to help local Landcare groups and people achieve their goals. So the existence of the local coordinators or facilitators was one of the keys. And the other thing is that kind of attitude or value, or I should say norm, that in Australia, the government or even coordinators or facilitators help people, local people. They strongly respect the local autonomy, and they don't harm the local autonomy. So this was the critical part. Why the Landcare was so successful in Australia as well.
Thank you. So do you think such similar activities like Landcare, Australia, outside any other countries from Australia?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, there are. As the Landcare was so successful, and thanks to the many non-profit organizations like Global Landcare, they're exporting or they're installing implementing many projects outside Australia, like African countries and Asia Pacific, and of course the Pakistan and Bangladesh and Philippines. So there are many similar activities like Landcare outside Australia, and in Japan as well. The Gokase town activity is not called Landcare at all at this point, but I think that the activity can be called as the Landcare activity in Japan as well.
Thank you. I received few questions from our audience, and one from Australia actually, Miss Pamela Grit. She is actually board member of Global Landcare, and she's mentioned that they're highly impressed about the hydroelectric project of Gokase. Does the power go into the grid, or is it all utilized locally?
Mm-hmm. This is very. Thank you very much, Pamela, for your question. I would say that they are selling the power to the Kyushu Electric Company, and they earn money. And of course, they can use the power by themselves. And so they have Gokase town has the choices or options to sell whether to sell the electricity into the grid or use it in the locally.
So has anyone written any case study about this?
Yes,
case study available?
Oh yes. Is anyone? Yes. My colleague, Dr. Tokihiko Fujimoto, have written about this case, and he developed this project. So he is the one who have written the case study about this.
Thanks, Kazuki. Kazuki, actually, Pamela has another one or two questions. One is, how do you see the challenge of building understanding of the role of biodiversity as being more than of intrinsic value for our future? So what are the challenge to building the understanding?
Yes, this is very important question and challenging question. How do I see the challenge of building understanding of the role of biodiversity? Yes, that's right. It is very important question, and I mentioned intrinsic value is other kind of critical natural capital, and I'm seeing the challenge the nowadays including economics. We are focusing on instrumental value, very instrumental value, and we measure economists measure the services or ecosystem services of the biodiversity or the ecosystem by estimating the economic value. But I would say that the instrumental value cannot capture the full value of the biodiversity. So we have to look at the intrinsic value from the local perspective. Not, of course, it is important to see the intrinsic value or scientific knowledge from the physical sense. But I would say that the local kind of attachment or local knowledge to the biodiversity, where we can learn from the local people's values or their practices. So I would say that is important part.
Yeah, Kazuki, Pamela also like to know that do all the three types of capital that you mentioned are critical for achieving resilience, or only the community resilience stand on just two legs?
Okay. Three types of capital means maybe manufactured natural and human capital. Right. I would say the balance of the three capital assets are critical because we cannot stand without natural capital, or we cannot stand at all by losing human capital. And of course, we cannot do any project efficiently without manufactured capital. So I would say that the balance of the three capitals is very, very essential. And in addition to that, we'd be better to focus on the critical natural capital as well. It is totally non-substitutable.
Thank you, Kazuki. We receive another question from Rob from Australia, that the Landcare websites are really important in Australia for promotion and advocacy, of course, and education. So have you Japanese equivalents? That means, do you have such a website in Japan?
Right. This is very interesting question. Very sadly, we don't have any equivalent website of Landcare websites. So I think it is important to spread the idea of Landcare by set up the website like Landcare websites, and there are many. I feel there are many Landcare related activities in Japan. So maybe we should have Japanese should have the equivalent to Landcare websites to let people know about Landcare around the world, and also let people in the world know the important cases in Japan as well.
Thank you. We have another question from Dr. Ahmed Salahuddin from Bangladesh. Actually, the question is, of course, you showed already that that there are some cases already you presented and summarized. So, but obviously, it has some challenge to get these good results. So he likes to know that what challenges probably, if you briefly explain.
Right. I confine myself to explain the successful aspect of the each case, and I would say there were also challenge in each case, but I would say the first case, the drought adaptation in the Sonic Plain, I mentioned that the local farmers Oh, I'm sorry. Is this my? Oh yes, that's right. All right. I mentioned that the local farmers retrieved traditional practices, but this was occurred in 1994, and they could retrieve their practices because they remembered. But now it is 2021, so some farmers do not know how to do the traditional practices, even if they know how it is effective in drought adaptation, but they cannot do that. So the how to transfer the traditional practices beyond the generations is one of the challenges, I think. And I'm sorry. Should I stop or just briefly
No, it's
comment?
okay. If you like to give any specific challenge from the case study too.
Right. Case study 2. Actually, I don't see any specific challenge at this point because it is ongoing project. So it is interesting to see what are the challenges and obstacles that hinder the sustainability of the projects or community activities. And briefly, Landcare in Australia, this was also successful, and it is very sustainable activities in Australia. But I think the financial support is one of the challenges in Australia. How to acquire the financial funds is one of the problems, I think. And of course, how to involve young generations into the Landcare activities. I heard that is one of other challenges, issues, but challenges. That is the same situation in Japan or other countries as well. So I would say that is a common issue and a common challenge throughout the world.
Thank you, Kazuki. So, how did the international networking between Gokase and Indonesia occur?
Right. I think the I mentioned the Gokase local cooperative association, and the original member includes the Dr. Tokihiko Fujimoto and their colleague and his colleague at Kyushu University, and they introduced the existence of the kinchil, and they promoted the interaction between Gokase town and the Indonesian West Java. So the networking was possible by not just the Gokase town people, but the support of the academics or other official supporters. They are very important in creating the international networking.
Thank you. So, I have one question, Kazuki, regarding the natural capital. That why
Right.
does the field of environmental economics use the concept of natural capital, or what are the other examples of critical natural capital (CNC)?
Right. This is very important question because some of you might wonder why the economists use the concept of natural capital. I would say that the economics distinguishes the stocks and flows. So the stock and flow, we distinguish between two. And natural capital is categorized as the stock. of the natural entities, and it is related to human happiness, human well-being. So the why do the environmental economists look at the natural capital, the concept? Because we are valuing the natural capital as the important asset of our world. So the environmental economics tries to incorporate the value into the economic system by focusing on natural capital. And we look at the stock because if we are to achieve intergenerational equity, we have to pass on the same stock to the future generations. So once we identify the natural entities as natural capital, we can include it into the capital assets, and we have to pass it on future generations. That's the reason for the natural capital concept. And sorry for using time, but critical natural capital. The other examples include, for example, geochemical cycle, or water cycle, or biodiversity, or the water resources I mentioned, but that are not physically substitutable, that are not physically substitutable to other capital assets. But in environmental economics, this is my viewpoint. But environmental economics, they use the concept of, when they use the concept of critical natural capital, they are focusing on physical substitutability. But I would say that not only physical substitutability, but the psychological substitutability should be also important in augmenting the social resilience. So that's why I introduced the concept of critical natural capital in my presentation.
No, thank you very much. It is for detailed explanation, and I believe that natural capital could be quantified as a numerical value by the environmental economist. So probably my last question to you, that how can non-government organizations or non-profitable organizations assist communities in augmenting their social resilience?
Okay, yes, this is very important question. Thank you very much. I have learned many things about things from the activities of Landcare, and I found that there is a kind of a principle that tells us not to intervene local autonomy. So that is the most important thing I learned from the Landcare. And when I look at other other cases like the sonic plan drought adaptation, or the micro hydropower development in the Gokase town, the same principle can be found in these cases. So the NGOs or NPOs can assist communities by providing any supports based on their needs, based on the local people's needs, but it should be conducted without compromising the local autonomy or local decision making. That's my viewpoint.
Yeah, Kazuki, actually, we just received another question from Dr. Ahmed Salahuddin, that did you use any criteria to measure resilience in your analysis?
Thank you very much, Ahmed, to this very important question. Simply, I haven't conducted the statistical analysis up to now. So I want to expand my analysis to, as you mentioned, set the criteria or quantitatively measure the social resilience. That is my next research theme. So this is very important. We should try to measure as concrete as possible the social resilience.
Thank you. We receive another very important comment from Andre Mason from Global Landcare, and it is very important. And what she mentioned, that it's a great example when the Australia actually struggling on the bushfire in recent years, and the Landcare led project actually very helpful and useful to cope with this adverse situation. So thank you very much. Actually, time has come up, and we need to end of our session. But I like to thank all of the audience from Bangladesh, India, from Malaysia, Philippines, and of course from Australia, the Global Landcare team, Rob, Pamela, Andrea, and all the Landcare peoples around the world to joining this session. And of course, I'd like to thank all the viewers for joining this APO Productivity Talk. Unfortunately, the session has come up to an end. And thank you so much, Dr. Kazuki Kagohashi, once again, for joining us and sharing your insights. We'd like to request the viewers to join the APO upcoming sessions. And thank you, and see you again. Thank you very much, Kazuki, and everyone.
Thank you very much.